Digital Growth Lab audience. How is everyone today? I hope you're doing fantastic. We have an amazing guest today. I can't wait to chat with. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late, but we had some technical difficulties. Everything on her side and my side was going a little wonky. So that's the beauty about going live. You never know what's going to happen, but we just keep on rolling with it. So again, thank you all for watching. I'm so excited that you are here and that you can continue to watch my digital growth live shows. Really my purpose, this is my passion project, interviewing and highlighting 100 women entrepreneurs this year, showcasing their fabulous talents across industries, showcase all the amazing work that they're doing. So thank you again for watching. If you're part of my audience, make sure you follow the guests. If you're part of the guest's audience, make sure you follow me so you get to keep on getting amazing information. So without further ado, we are going to welcome our guests. So welcome, Sequoyah, to the show. I'm super excited to have you, like I said before, because you are, your passion is functional medicine, and maybe some people know, maybe some people don't, a holistic health practitioner outside of everything I did, or at least I studied that. And functional medicine is so important. And I think that's why we chose Destress the MESS. And I'll let you talk about why. I know that's your tagline for your business, but yeah, functional medicine is so important. So I will let you introduce your beautiful self and tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your business.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you so much, Emily, for allowing me to be a guest on your show. My name is Sequoyah Lindsay Taylor. Most people also probably know me as Sequoyah Ashe Taylor on a lot of those social media platforms. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Ashe Wellness. And what we do is that we assist women to establish and maintain healing habits so they can be healthy, happy, and gain harmony. How do we do that? Is that we assist you to distress the mess through functional and genetic testing. And so we'll allow you to, we help you to go through the steps of customizing and individualizing your care to you, because you're the only one that is out there.
I love it. I love it because at one point in my life, I was pretty sick for some time. And I was going to all these doctors and they weren't really giving me the information or the diagnosis that I wanted to hear. And then I started going into holistic health, and like doing that has reshaped my whole entire life, but it really has helped me to like tune into my body, who I am as a unique individual, which also really helped with my stress level. So de-stress the mess. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I know everybody who's watching, and there's so many stressors out in this world. I mean, if you are living in today, you are bombarded with so many messages, from physical to emotional to spiritual to like what's going on in our environment. There is stress all over. So how are you de-stressing all this mess?
So that is I hear your story, when I hear people give their story like you just did, it sounds like a repeating story, right? And so a lot of times what people do not realize is that functional medicine, for those who may or may not know, is basically getting to the root cause of why you're having an issue. Instead of putting a Band-Aid on something, or we snatch the Band-Aid off and saying, you know what, they're having these symptoms, but why, right? And the cool thing about it, and why I love functional medicine, is yes, it's holistic, but we also incorporate and integrate traditional medicine in ways, right? Because we use lab testing. We just use them in a functional way. We use genetic testing, and then we also incorporate those lifestyle steps and lifestyle strategies for you to live an overall healthy life. So when we say distress the mess, the first thing that you have to realize is that everything that you do is a stressor. Everything, Sequoyah? Everything. Everything is a stressor, right? And so when you think about, because they're like, oh, stress is bad. Oh my gosh. And so there's good stress and bad stress. And I think what we help people to redefine that and say that, you know what, blinking my eyes is a stressor to the body, right? Eating food is a stressor to the body. And so when you're thinking about it in that aspect, then you have a whole new viewpoint on what stress is. And so then you think about, hey, am I eliminating stress? Am I reducing stress? Am I managing stress? And so when we say distress the MESS is an actual acronym. We want to assist you to de-stress the areas of your meals, which means like your vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, the carbs that you should be eating. So we pull your reports and we give that actual report in what we call the book of you. So for instance, Emily, it would be the book of Emily. When you get your
I like
report,
that book. Just
you're
saying.
right. The best book, right? That book is crazy because it's based off your genetics, and that information will never change, right? So when you get the book of Emily, and you will get the information about that says, hey, meals, what type of, how is my body's going to respond to vitamins, minerals, carbs, proteins, right? Fats, omegas. How is my body going to respond to that? And then what may I need support in the future, looking at your health issues that may arise. E is for the exercise / the environment. S is for sleep, and the other S is for stress. And then we have like a little S in parentheses that stands for supplementation. So we provide those the book of you to allow you to be able to see based off your genetics. And then we also can incorporate functional lab tests that shows us, hey, what is going on with you as a person, so that when you are customizing your care is customized to you, not your spouse, not your parents, not your kids, not your best friend. It's customized to you based off what is going on with you in your life right now.
Yeah, I love it. I have so many questions, so I'm just going to ask one question because I feel like I just want to pick your brain. And that's how I was the last time we chatted. So what got you into functional medicine? Because it's not something common that we hear in today's society.
It's not. And so that's part of the reason why I'm loving being on your show, because it is not talked about. A lot of people will see that and think, oh, that's so far-fetched, or I don't understand it, so it doesn't make sense. And I will tell people, like I just told someone the other day, I've been in functional medicine my whole life, right? When I understood that I had the power to change myself and make things happen, to include my wellness, that allowed me on this journey. So my own personal journey of being almost 300 pounds, having weight loss surgery, and maintaining a 115-pound loss over the last 9 years, right? And being able to see it with my clients, I had clients who it seems like I was doing the same things over and over. So yes, we were helping them with their diet. We were helping them with exercise. We were helping them with sleep. We were helping them with stress, right? And there was a missing piece of that puzzle, right? And the missing piece was that I wasn't able to customize it to them. So if we recommend you eat something or do a certain exercise, it may or may not work, right? I felt like we were still guessing. So our hope and goal is to help you to stop guessing, right, through testing. And so functional medicine allowed me that avenue to test the person to say, okay, we don't have to guess, should you do this? We can know. And we could get very close to doing these things, right? And so that was what led me to functional medicine, because I wanted to put those pieces of the puzzles together for my clients. And I wanted to do it in such a way that we could take out a guessing. Like you said, when you were going to the doctors, you kept getting diagnosis, or they didn't know what was going on. You knew something was going on, but they couldn't figure it out. And then you go to someone else, and you go to this specialist, and you go to this specialist, and you go to this doctor. Over time, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick. And not knowing. And so to me, it was all about finding those missing pieces of the puzzle. It allows me to be a detective, and it allows you to get solutions to the issues that you have at hand.
Yeah, and one like a myth that I want to help like pop right here is like people say I don't have enough money to do this or incorporate this into my lifestyle. And one of the things that you said is like you're going from one specialist to the next specialist to the next specialist to the next specialist, and that cost is just rising and rising. So instead of doing that, you're working with a functional medicine someone who's in this field, and you get very customized, tailored like protocols that are for you. So even though you are maybe spending money, monthly or whatever, I don't even really know what your costs are. You really are helping yourself in the long term, because you're not building on all these doctor's bills. Then when you're sick, you're getting more medication after more medication after more medication. So it's really, for me, like a preventative measure, and it's a shift people have to make. So you have to think about the long term and return on investment, and what better return on investment is than like working on yourself and getting yourself healthy.
Absolutely. And what we tell people, we have a part A and a part B of our program, because when you start talking to like the science techie geeky things, when we talk about genetics, your genetics is not going to change. What you got from your mother and your father will not change. And so that's where the book of you comes from. And so there are different reports that we could pull on over 100 different things, right?
Wow.
And so when you look at those different things, the book of you is not going to change. So when you make an investment on that, you could go to this book of you, the book of Emily, and say 10 years from now, hey, something cardiovascular came up, or something respiratory came up, or I'm getting ready to train for a marathon. What does it say that I should be doing? Should I be doing cardio? Should I be doing a little workout? And so you're able to see and look at those things on a baseline nature based off your genetics. So that's never going to change. Once you make that investment, you have information that will carry you at least a baseline and a foundation for the rest of your life. So when people are talking about how much stuff costs, I'm like, this is something that you can always go back at. And then if you're when you make those changes and you are like supplementing as you need to, then you say, hey, you know what? I'm still having an issue here. And so then you have to look at, hey, did I help or did I hurt my gene in this area, right? Because you may have a variation in certain parts of your genes that doesn't have anything affected. But if you smoke every day, you're affecting those genes. And that's where you hear people talk about epigenetics. What has happened since you were born to now? Toxins, if you have a mercury toxicity, that's going to hurt your genes, and that's going to cause you to have issues with your health. So that's where you're able to put 1 + 1 = 2, and then you're able to invest in yourself the way you need to, so that you know what is exactly going on, and you can pinpoint, hey, what is going on with my body here? Where do I need to make changes? In even something simple as going to sleep. Is it a supplementation? We get questions all the time about people using supplementation, and they're like, hey, I take omega-3s, I take omega-6, I take my fatty acids, I'm taking B12. And we're like, okay, we can see that and we also do wellness scans as well. So when we see that on the scan, they're like, I'm taking B12, but are you taking it in the right amount? Are you taking it the right route? Right? Are you doing it at the right times? All these things are important. So yes, you could be doing the right thing, but are you doing it at the right time? Are you doing it at the right place? Instead of taking it orally, is it something that you use as transdermal or suppository? Those are different things that you have to look at, because you are different. And while we can't do, I feel like we can't do healthcare as a mass thing anymore. It has to be more customized to the actual individual.
Yeah, I love it. So where are you located at?
I'm located in Florida.
Okay.
But we are able to service clients all over the world. That is the beauty of telehealth. That was one thing with the
Love it.
pivot. And we're also able to see patients in Canada and Mexico as well right now. So for people who are like over in other countries, don't think that doesn't come to you, because a lot of those lab tests come to your home. They take 1 to 3 minutes to do. And then you send them back in. And as a practitioner, we get the results. And then we have your meeting virtually. So don't feel like if you're not in my area that these services can't be provided to you.
Awesome. So who usually comes to you? Like, is it someone who's like stressed out? Is it someone who's like been like having a health issue and they just pinpoint it is? Or like who's typically your target audience?
So our target audience, and who mostly comes to us, is women entrepreneurs, right? And they're coming to us because they're also a spouse. They also have their mothers. Most of the time, they have kids. And the chief complaint that they have is chronic fatigue syndrome. And it's undiagnosed because they're going to the doctor and the lab work is fine per the numbers on the lab, and then they're having problems with sleeping. Hence when we say Destress the MESS, those are what, hey, I'm gaining a little weight, or I can't lose weight, or I'm plateauing, or my exercise I feel like is not, or stress is not at the levels I feel like it should be at, or I can't sleep. And so they're having symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome, and they don't know why, right? And so we definitely pinpoint on the adrenals. We definitely pinpoint about like not doing the proper detoxes of their environment, of their body. And so when we say de-stress the mess, that's what we mean. We're going through the steps to find out what it is, because a lot of times when like you said, you're going to your doctor and they're looking at a range that's on the sheet. So if you fall in a range, if it says between 14 and 37 is a normal range, if you are 22, you fall into a normal range. And so they're like, oh, well, Emily, nothing is wrong. Hey, Suzanne, hey, Barbara, there's nothing wrong with you. Everything is okay. And you're like, I know something is wrong. I'm sluggish. I'm having brain fog. I'm having fatigue. I can't sleep at night. I'm gaining weight and I'm not even doing anything extra, right? I'm trying all these lotion, potions, and pills and nothing is changing. And something is wrong, but based off what they're saying, the lab work everything is fine. Your blood sugars are fine. And so what we're noticing is that you have to go back and look at the normal range for you. And so that is the number one difference when people say, hey, I could just send you my lab work from my doctor, and we're like, well, in functional medicine is a little bit different. We need the range for you as a person. So if you were 18 last time, two tests ago, and then you're 20 now and you're 22 now, see, that's an increase. So the normal for you is actually not that. And why are you increasing, right? And so that's why we're able to do it, be a detective and do a deeper dive as to where that stop happens. We don't just look at that one test and say, hey, this is a 17 in your normal range, right? Our ranges are actually tighter than what is on a usual test. So we're wondering, like, hey, what is going on? Is it a cascade effect? Is it a, metabolic chaos? Is it something that's going on with the gut? Is it something that's going on with hormones? And so we're able to tighten that range a little bit. When people are asking, well, why do I have to do additional testing? And I just went to my doctor, and that's why.
I love it. Love it. Right. Because it's like, and the things that you said, it was like brain fog, fatigue, a little bit of weight gain. Like I can't lose the weight. We in this society, at least I feel, have normalized that that's okay, especially for women of a certain age. They're like, oh, you've hit this certain age, that's okay. When it's really not, right? If you don't feel like you're at your optimal health, and you don't feel like you can like feel in your own skin, have the energy level, that's something that to be looked at and looked upon, right? So if you are feeling that way, then it might be an opportunity for you to reach out to Sequoyah and say, hey, like, there is more for you out there, right? And I think once you start making those, you start implementing those small changes, like you said in your like the meals, the sleep, the stress, when you start making that and doing the testing, you're going to start seeing an increase of energy. You're going to start seeing like an increase of vibrancy. And then you're going to be like, oh man, like this is awesome.
And I think the important thing to realize is that you are, and that's what we say with Ashe, right? Ashe is a Yoruban word that stands for I have the power to change and make things happen. So
Can
that
you
is what
say that again? I like that.
Ashe is a Yoruban word that stands for I have the power to change and make things happen. And so that is what we want to empower our patients. Most of them, the range is 30 to 40. Average age, we're averaging about 34 to 35 years old. So that woman is like, if she's an entrepreneur or a career person, and she has kids, and she's a spouse, and she's somebody's friend, and she's somebody's daughter, and she, and so she's not at that age. Most of the time, you're neglecting yourself. So it comes an issue of self-love through self-care. And so when you look at it in that fashion, and you're saying, "Hey, I'm distressed at the mess," the reason why you're in a mess may be totally different than someone else. Yours could be sleep. You could have a variation in your sleep, and then you're not sleeping well, and you say, hey, I don't go to bed till 1 o'clock because industry tells me that I should sleep when I'm dead, right? So I'm working hard, and I'm staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning. So now my body does not get to release toxins like it's supposed to. It doesn't get to repair and rejuvenate the way it's supposed to. That could be your issue, but then you start having brain fog, you start having weight gain, and then someone else can have those same symptoms, but the reason why they're having that issue could be they have a leaky gut. So that is why I think when you start asking, like, the primary thing, it kind of get clumped into chronic fatigue syndrome, but there are a lot of aspects that go into that, and that's why you have to individualize it to each person, because we can have the same symptoms. I can have a checklist, and you and I can do it at the same time of day. We could be sitting next to each other, and we could check those same boxes. But the reason why, which is in functional medicine, is what we care about. The root cause why we're having those symptoms is important. So both of us could check that we're having three out of these 5 symptoms, and they're going to say, oh, well, yes, it's chronic fatigue, but why? And your why could be totally different as mine, but then we're in the same group of having this same, disorder or the same issues.
Yeah, and I think that's why women, and not just women, but women and men sometimes become so frustrated with their health, right? Because there's so much information out there saying, do this for your sleep, do this for, there's like over 300 different dietary theories out there, right? So you try a keto diet, or you try a vegan, or you try vegetarian, and it's not working for you. And you can't figure it out, but your friend's like, yeah, try this, work for me. And then you hit this part that you're fatigued, you're like exhausted, and you're like, but I keep trying and nothing is working for me. So I love that you're bringing light that, yeah, you can do these other things, but they might not be right for you. So you as an individual have to be your own detective for your health and do different things for your own unique DNA in your body, right? Because your body is unique to you.
Right. Absolutely. And the key word that you said in that statement is try. And here in Ashe land is what we call it. We do not use the word try. You're either doing, as words of Yoda, you're doing or you're not doing. And how we do that is because we're gonna figure it out, right? And some people say, well, we didn't figure it out in 2 days. Well, it didn't take 2 days for this issue to happen. And usually what happens is when you take care of one issue, the issue that was number 3 will become louder, right? So if you say, hey, I was having chronic fatigue, but then I was also having problems with sleeping and I had brain fog. So if we take care of the brain fog, using the sleeping issues will come first because like, hey, what about me? So a lot of people don't realize that if you have the barrel as we call it, and it's full of dirty water, when you turn the spigot off, everything that's kind of going out, something, whatever's coming out of the speaker says, pay attention to me, come out of there, right? And then you're just replenishing it with new things. And I think that is the key, that people have to give themselves grace and then give themselves, mercy, but actually take the time to be able to do that. That is why we said that you have the power to change and make these things happen, and being willing to and making the commitment, not to try to figure it out. We're going to distress the MESS. You're going to stop guessing. Through testing and figuring it out, because there are certain things, like you said, if you and your husband or you or your kids can be able to diet and using a program, and then I'm doing keto, they're doing vegan, and they're losing 10, 15 pounds, and you're like, I didn't lose anything. Right. And so that's why even most people are like, we're doing the exact same thing. Right. And most women get frustrated because they're like, I'm fixing his food, I'm cooking, right? The husband and the wife are going on a diet, or the best friends are going on a diet together. She's cooking the food, fixing his lunch, and do everything, but he loses weight. And it's because that was something that would be beneficial to him. And I tell everybody, every diet out there will work. Like you said, it's over 300. Most people just hear about the ones that are popular. They're talking about it's over 300 different type of dietary things. And so most of the time, our clients fall somewhere within a Mediterranean diet. Is more flexible. When it comes to put a genetic profile, 90% of the time, that's what it recommends. And then we cater their meal plan and their meals to them, right? Based off the deficiencies that we see. And that allows them to be able to have a little bit more flexibility. You're not tied down to anything. And plus, when you're looking at a diet, you're not taking into account that I may need vitamin B, or I may need vitamin C. If I'm looking at an item, I look at it and says, hey, I love kale, but why am I eating kale? I have an iron deficiency. So I'm like, oh, I need kale, spinach, and stuff like that because I don't want to take an iron supplement, right? So when you look at food and saying, hey, I'm going to eat to live, not live to eat, then the mindset shifts in that. Why am I eating this food? Why am I eating with color? As you know, as a holistic practitioner as well, eating colors is beautiful. The colors are beautiful, but there's a reason why, right? And so you start to even change the way you eat, instead of saying, hey, I'm pescatarian, I'm vegan, I'm keto. When you're looking at it and saying, hey, I get vitamin K from this, and I know I was deficient. So let me add some kale and some salmon. I need omegas and some good fat. So let me add salmon, some kale, some wild rice, and green beans, and maybe some purple cabbage or something in the color. So when you combine your meals and your ingredients together, I'm going to get these nutrients that I know that my body needs. And then and then if you need to supplement, do I need to take a liquid vitamin? Do I need to take a patch? Do I need to do, a suppository? So knowing what those are, because people are saying, hey, I'm taking my vitamins every day, but are you taking the right amount? Are you taking them, again, the right route? Are you taking it at the right time? And you only can understand and know that if you're checking for yourself, because your best friend can say, we're taking the exact same thing, but she lost 5 pounds, you gained 5 pounds. And so take out some of that frustration. That's when we're saying distress the MESS. Take out some of that frustration, and allow yourself to know that it's okay to make yourself a priority, to actually invest in your health and take the time to actually do that. And then you can make tweaks and changes as you will.
I love it. You're like so re-inspiring me, because I have been on a journey for such a long time, and that's why I was so excited to speak to you. But like, I used to have chronic migraine, and I mean, 15, 20 migraines a month. I was knocked out. I couldn't do anything. So I started focusing on my food. That's why I got certified to become a holistic health practitioner. I started doing like meditation, everything like that, and really revamped everything. But I feel like as I'm now doing more entrepreneurship and doing a bajillion different things, I always know I've had gut issues. Like my stomach, I'm trying to recreate a relationship, a friendly relationship, because I felt like I've tried so many different things. I am that woman who's like banging her head against like the wall. I'm like, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this. We still have issues. And it's so frustrating. So, so you really re-inspire me to like, yes, put myself first, put my health first. And there are more options out there. When you think there are no more options, that means there's probably like 10 more options for you.
Right.
You just have to be willing to say, I'm open. Yes, there are, and see what happens.
And I think because, sometimes Google is our best friend,
Yeah.
and then sometimes Google is not. And sometimes when you're looking at stuff, as like you said, as the busy entrepreneur, and you're saying, hey, I have to go get this done, but then you're not focused on that. And when we look at, like you said, holistic health, you have to treat the person as a whole. So even if I'm saying the frequency from food, and you're looking at your gut health. And so I had a client recently was like, hey, I'm vegan, so how do I take care of this gut bug? I'm like, bone broth. So you can no longer be right. So even when you subscribe to those type of situations, allow yourself to know that there are different things that were placed on this earth by the God, higher power, whoever you want to believe in that area, that was meant to help you heal. That's why we say you have the power to change and make things happen. Everything that we need is here. We have to figure out how it's going to be best for you. And so when most people say, oh, I have gut issues, I'm having migraines, and then you ask the general person, and then you can post that on Facebook, and you're going to get 1,000 different answers. That's how you
Yeah.
can test it. Say, hey, I have migraines. Somebody gonna say use aromatherapy, drink water, go to sleep. You're gonna get 1,000 different answers, and all of those answers are correct. But are they correct for you? Right? Because when I look at it, I'm gonna say, well, migraine plus gut, plus I need to know what happens at like 1 o'clock in the morning when she sleeps and when she's waking up. And when she, like, what is methylation looking like? So is she actually absorbing it? So I'm looking at it from literally in my brain, I'm putting pieces of the puzzle together. So when we say the book of you, I see a puzzle and I'm like, it's a puzzle piece missing here. That's why we have this, this deficiency. And so that's why I love what I do now, because some people say, well, that sounds boring. That sounds a lot like science. And it is, but because I can look at the same symptoms every day, everyone's genetics is going to be different. I learn something new every day that I'm looking at and I'll look at something and say, oh, I didn't think about that correlation, or what about this, or what about this? Or we'll look at a wellness scan and it says your polarity, how you're standing up to the earth versus how you're sleeping versus you needing hydration. And then I'm like, hey, were you having headaches? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, oh, it's because hydration, and you're not sleeping and you're not polarized and centered to the earth, right? And so all of those things, treating the whole person as a whole, because if you're going to look at your physical things, you have to look at the part of, like, when we say stress, are they emotionally stressed? Yes, right? Worry is something that shows up in your gut as well, right? Stress and stuff. So when you look at all those components, we have to include all those when we're starting to talk about, hey, she has gut issues, but is it more than just a physical situation? Is it something that's manifesting itself? And so if we do that, we could be detectives for days and figure things out. Luckily, we have stuff that kind of points us into the right direction and say, hey, pay attention to this, so that we're not guessing so much, because we could guess at this all day, but the reason why it's happening for you is totally different than why it's happening for someone else.
But I can't wait to talk to you offline so we can figure this out, because I'm tired.
Yeah.
I was like tired of dealing with all of it. And I used to be super active. Anyway, we'll talk about it more.
Yeah, it is funny when people say that to me, because I just started about working out again, like vigorous, because I'm doing more toning. So me, I'm like, I hate these workouts where I have to use weights. But then when you're looking at it, I'm someone who needs to do more of the weightlift power exercise, what they call that. And then even with the report, when it says stress, I'm a warrior when it comes to stress. So worrying, but we need to know that, because someone who worries all the time, I can expect them to have a little bit more gut issues or chest issues, because they're worrying. They're like, oh, I'm a concern. But their warrior is going to be someone who hides their emotions all the time. But then how is it manifesting in their body? So these things are important when you're looking at it as a whole. And even what you're saying, like you're working out, sometimes this, going to the gyms 5 times a week and doing, powerlifting and HIIT exercise and cardio is not the best thing. Maybe doing some yoga, some meditation, and walking around the block is better for you at this time, especially if you have gut issues, because people don't realize when you're actually releasing fat and burning fat, you're releasing toxins too. And if your gut is not able to support that, your organs are not prepared for that, then you will have inflammation in the gut. And so and then you're like, why am I having that? It's because you were working out. And you're like, but I was working out. I was doing a good thing, right? But was it a great thing for you?
I mean, I love this conversation because I used to like work out hardcore before. I used to be an endurance athlete. was training for Ironman, and
Mm,
like I just, things just change, right? And
right.
now I've started to try to work out again. Every time I like go for a run, like my stomach is not my friend. Like, and it's so uncomfortable. Like I was getting runners, I think it's called runner's gut, where like the gas and everything fills up, and it was just like so hard. But so now all my audience knows about my medical stuff.
Listen, it's
I
funny
feel like we're
because
just having a great conversation.
right, it's
It's
like
okay,
how do
but
you
that's
connect
what
with
people need to
people?
hear.
Right, and it's funny because when someone says that to me, that they get like what you call a runner's gut, but when they start saying like yes and stuff like that, or their stomach is inflamed, I'm like, hey, question for you: do you drink soda? And they're
No.
like, well, and I'm like, do you drink sweet tea? Like not herbal tea? Do you drink sweet
Oh
tea?
yeah, yeah.
And they're like, well, and I'm like, do you eat? So we go down the list, and they're like, oh, okay, this could be one of those things because it's one strict. The question I always ask is just to keep in mind if the audience takes away nothing. Are you helping or hurting your genes? Your genes are already in place. Are you helping them? Are you turning on the switch or turning off the switch? So if I put something in my mouth, is that helping to something stay off? Or am I turning it up so they can be like, wait, let me act up, let me show up in the body? And if you kind of have that in the background, then like if you wanted to reach for that soda, or you want to reach for those potato chips, or you want to reach for the Oreos, or you're not wanting to get up and move your body. And I'm not saying doing a strenuous workout, but even yoga for the mindfulness piece and for the stretching and moving and flexibility of the body. I'm stress management. If you didn't take 10 minutes to say, hey, let me get zen, let me get quiet. If you're not going to sleep, get enough hours to rest, then are you helping or are you hurting your genes? And all of those are a combination that we can do. Like the easiest thing that you can do tonight off this, when you get off this live, is to go to bed and get a restful sleep that allows you to go into REM sleep that helps you to regenerate, right? And so when I get asked all the time, people say I have to spend a lot of money on supplements. I'm like, no, I have to go out and buy all these weights and workout programs and go buy all these groceries and change my diet. That's great. But the number one thing that you can do tonight, you don't have to wait to implement anything, is to go to sleep and get a restful sleep that your body can rejuvenate. And if you have a problem with that cycle, then everything else when you're doing the daytime is gonna be affected, because that's the only time in the body where your body's not stressed. Remember we said distress the mess. So
Yeah.
if you're having issues with that at night, something is being stressed. And so you either like fight or flight, running from the dog, or you're like, oh, that okay, the dog is over and I'm resting. And at night, that's what your body should be doing. If it's not doing that, then you're in stress mode again. So if your body's in 24/7 stress mode, what do you think is going to happen to your health? And so that's why I hate hearing it. And we've done this for years as entrepreneurs, as moms, as all these things. They're like, oh, you'll sleep when you're dead. You can rest when you're dead. Just go, 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 go. And you're like, I'm better keep getting sick and I'm staying sick. Like, when am I supposed? I'll catch up on sleep. You can't. It's
No.
impossible, right?
Yeah.
So those are like smaller things that you can start to say, hey, what can I do to start that process? Is one of the things is to go to sleep and get some restful sleep.
Thank you so much for the tips, not only for me, but for the audience. And I love the passion that you have. So I feel like anyone who is unsure about functional medicine, I mean, this is a great conversation to hear what you would talk to about from a functional medicine perspective. So I think this is a great opportunity for people to, like, if you're curious, it's about this kind of detective work with your own self and having amazing support to really get to your end goal, right? So I think this is a great conversation to start to bring up what does functional medicine really look like, and what are the opportunities, and how many different directions you can take it in. So,
Absolutely.
if you are banging your head against the wall for something in particular, like, we got a specialist right here. And I love that you work, like, I mean, you can do telehealth. It, it just exploded through. So there's opportunity
Right.
all over. So how do reach out to you?
So
Website?
yeah, so you could do the website. I did change and put connect. So the word connect dot ashewellness.com, and that's gonna
Okay.
lead you to like my social media. You can go the website link should be there, and they can actually reach out and contact us. If you're watching on like LinkedIn or any of the other platforms, they just inbox us, and then we can definitely get the assistant to help you with that, getting scheduled. But yeah, that is definitely the conversation I think needs to be had. especially for women, because if you look in this arena, you're like, it's a lot of noise. Everyone is saying do something specific. And I think the difference is, like you said, is that I'm never going to come out and say everyone should do this. Not anymore. Not knowing what I know now. We can't say everyone should do this. And my job and what makes me passionate is because I get to be the detective. It's like, if you like forensic science and you're going out to be the detective to solve the crime here is your health, like a health issue. And I get to go out and help you find that. But the amazing part about it is that you do too. You get to find out about it. You get to say, I'm not crazy. I knew something was going on. I'm just not quite feeling my best, right? And so it is affirming and confirming for you as a woman, to be able to see those things and say, hey, I am able to know that something is not right about my body, and then know what I need to do for it. And so if nothing else, it's definitely empowering from within. We're definitely assisting women to understand that they are able to do it. And it makes you an advocate. When you go to like my clients, they'll like take their reports to the doctor. No, you need I've had a couple of those run-ins, but then I've also had doctors who they've taken scans, they've taken tests, and the doctor is like, you know what? That's spot on. That would make sense. If this is happening, that would make sense. So to even be confirmed by the medical profession, when you kind of have people who are a little bit leery of new science or new things, it is definitely becoming more and more of the thing, like, oh, okay, we're able to do a deeper dive. And it makes you a better advocate for yourself, because you're going in with informed consent, and you're able to say, no, I don't want to, let's not do this medication until let's see if I can make a lifestyle change to give me that same result. Or can I, do this, or can I eliminate this, or take this away if I do this? The way it makes you feel is that you have the power to change and make things happen. You find your ashe. And when you do that, of course, as women, we're going to make sure that happens with our kids, our spouses, everyone as a nation gets affected around you, because you are empowered as well. So that is why we are passionate. That's why we love what we do. That's why I love coming on, having conversations with people like Emily. And she's like, you need to be saying this everywhere. And I'm like, I know, I'm stuck in my bubble.
Yes, no, because it's so important. And I'm going to say it too, especially for women of color. It's just like another level. And so
Right.
I'm super passionate about bringing different messages out into the world, but and awareness and education, but especially for women, putting yourself first means putting your health first. If you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of your friends, you can't do that if you don't have the energy. You can't do that if you don't have your own health. So, I mean, I was so excited when you said yes, because it's really changing not only the person, but the community around it. And that's what's, I think, is so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So, okay. So any last tips or like words of wisdom from you before we just kind of go into one other part? Because I like to talk about like a mind, body, soul perspective. And I always like to ask my guests, like, what do they do for themselves? So any last tips on, or like I said, words of wisdom about like what you do and functional medicine?
So my last tip is what I've been saying this whole time. Give yourself permission to find your ashe, because you have the power to change and make things happen. And you are the one who is able to do it. And as a woman, if you don't do it, then who will? You are the mother, you are the entrepreneur, you're the career person, you're the wife, you're the friend, you're all those roles. But before you are any of those roles, you came in as woman. And so give yourself permission, and it's okay to invest in yourself. So self-care through self-love, to be able to find out what is going on with you, because you want to live your optimal life. Like at this point in health and wellness, it's not about being like, okay, you want to live the optimal life and live it healthily and live it with incitement and live it with knowing what is going on with you as well. So ashe, you have the power to change and make things happen.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Ashe. I'm going to put that as one of my meditations in the morning, Ashe, and remember that. So let's jump into, I like play and I like pleasure and I like bringing joy. So what do you do for yourself to keep everything like playful, and what brings you pleasure throughout your day and your week to stay so motivated on your cause?
So this was a part of the finding your ashe. For me, I actually do what I call date who, date you. And that is a date night. At least I've fallen off a little bit. I like doing it every 2 weeks, but at least once a month, just like I have dates. You can have dates with everyone else. I actually have a date night with myself, meaning no kids, no friends, no phone, no TV. I actually do everything I would do, that I would get dressed up. I go and take a nice shower, get all dressed up, cook a nice dinner or go out to dinner. And I actually have a date day with myself. And the reason why I feel like that is important, because again, out of all those things, that I am me first. I have to have conversations with myself, because my values are changing, my morals are changing. The things that I need to learn as lessons, the things that I need to take the time to say, hey, that was a win, right? And I didn't see it as a win. Checking myself, right? Allowing yourself to say, hey, you were wrong, or you know what, maybe we need to have a change of perspective. And so I allow myself to go through those things. And the only way you could do that is, in my opinion, is like having a date day or a date night with yourself, where you're doing those things and allowing yourself to know that you are important in a way that is exclusive of everyone else, like excluding everyone else, everything else. I am a woman and I am who I am. And so she deserves to be dated by me. And so those are what that's one of the things that I like to do, to have joy and spending time with my two amazing daughters. They are another reason to bring me joy, because they are definitely the yin to my yang, and that, that whole karma cycle. They teach me lessons that I don't get to learn for myself. They definitely help me to learn. I'm the teacher and the student in that situation, and I'm able to accept that. So yeah, but the main thing that I would say to fulfill happiness and to make sure I'm staying centered and grounded is to date myself.
And I mean, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I used to do that a long time ago, but again, you're re-inspiring me in so many different ways. You really re-inspire me to have that date night. And actually, I think so. I'm gonna say that I have been doing it, but I don't recognize that I've been doing it. Like right now, I came to California with my sister, and that for me brings me pleasure. Like anything with sun and by the water. So
Mm-hmm.
a date week instead of a date night.
Ooh. Now, listen, now you have inspired me, because I have a birthday coming up, and I keep saying, like, I need to just go somewhere for a couple of days. But then, and it, as always, we're always like, okay, but what about all these other things? And so the whole point of that is to allow, like, you are worthy too. You are able and deserving of those things as well. And that is part of your health. Like,
Yeah.
we don't realize that as women, those things, when you take that time to digress and you're able to change things and get a different perspective and just woosah, it makes you better. It fills your cup up so that you could go back out and spill again. So I think that's the thing that we don't realize, that is helping us. Like you said, you didn't even realize you were doing it. And that's good, because it should become second nature, that you're like, oh, date night. Okay, everybody knows. But allowing yourself to understand that, because it is beneficial for your wellness and to help you to distress the mess when you're actually putting yourself first.
Yes, 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 yes. So thank